Welcome back to Just Kampers. In this video we're going to be taking a look at a T25 exhaust. This T25 belongs to Gemma. She works here at Just Kampers HQ and she's telling me her exhaust is getting noisier and noisier. So before she upsets the neighbours too much, we best check it out and take a look. There are certainly parts of this exhaust that are needing replacement. So the first thing I've done is to put penetrating oil on all of the fixings, let that soak in, just to give us a better chance of undoing those rusty nuts and bolts. Our exhaust fixings have been soaking for a little while now, so I'm going to go ahead and try and undo them. As with any corroded fixing, it's always a good idea to go tight first before you undo it. That helps clear the thread so we've got less chance of snapping the stud off or breaking the bolt off. So one of the nuts on this exhaust is being quite stubborn, so I've hit it with a wire brush to try and clean some of that corrosion away. Also, I'm just having to work that nut backwards and forwards on the thread until I can actually remove it. So I'm just going to keep gently working it. Not force it when it gets tight, but go back the other way and add a little bit more oil, penetrating oil, whatever it is you're using, and loads of patience, obviously. Good. Oil, wire brush, and patience. Job done. So now I need to separate the two halves of the exhaust. We've got the J tube that comes around here and then goes back to our collector here. Now these two are joined on this clamp here. Obviously I've managed to undo the clamp and splay the clamp right open and still not get these two pieces of pipe apart. So there's only one thing for it. And that's to cut it off. So I can now undo and remove this side of the pipe. All I need to do now is just finish removing this J tube and that's this side done. Then we've got to do the other side. So the opposite side has been a little bit more challenging. I cut through here because I couldn't again separate this clamp part here, so that's fine. And then we were able to undo the two here, remove that from the engine, which left us with this part of the J tube and the heat exchanger on. So I also had trouble with one of the bolts at the top here. So I've had to cut the heat exchanger off to give me a little bit more access to be able to cut this tube off. So this is what we've got left on the engine on the bus now. As you can see, I've cut the tube right back to the flange, managed to remove this bolt. This is the bolt that's been a problem. Now it should have a stud in it, not an Allen headed bolt. So this is my next bit I've got to take out and then the whole exhaust system is off. So the Allen key headed bolt should have been a 6mm, which is this size here. And when I put this in, unfortunately, this just turned in the inside of this corroded bolt. So what I've done, I've managed to tap in, this is an actual imperial size Allen key, which is a quarter. So that's about 6.25, so it's a bit bigger. It's gone in nice and tight, so fingers crossed and wish me luck, I can undo it with that. So as always, I'm going to go tight first. Ooh, I just moved, and then I'm going to undo it. It actually moved, so that's good. Hasn't moved inside the socket head before, it did before, so. Oh yeah, no, it did move. Excellent, excellent. So now that's loose. We can undo that and remove that last piece. So removing the last part of that exhaust was definitely a bit of fun, but with a bit of patience and a bit of time, we got there no problem. So the next job is to clean up the faces before we start putting our new parts on. So I'm using a blade just to scrape off the coke and the debris from the old gasket. And I'll do that on all four faces and then we can fit some nice new studs into these before we fit our parts. As you can see, we've got our new studs fitted. The faces all been cleaned off nicely and this is our new gasket. I've put a little bit of copper grease on the faces of the gasket. This just helps seal it up between there and the exhaust. You can use a bit of exhaust paste if you want, but because I've got such a lovely clean face and a brand new gasket, I'm literally only using copper grease. So I'm ready to start fitting our new exhaust components back to the van. I'm going to get it all fitted up nice and loosely first to make sure everything fits. And then after then we can go around and start tightening up and getting it fitted correctly. So I've got our pipes loosely fitted and also not to forget the tinware because the lower mounts of the tinware fit on the studs on the front and the rear of the exhaust there. So we're ready to try and fit the silencer and then we can start tightening everything up. The exhaust is now nipped up, everything's nipped up in position. And what that means is that I've taken the nuts up so they touch home, but they're not really tight, but there's not a massive gap. But what we still have is movement on the exhaust. So we're going to start tightening up there at the manifold on both sides and work our way back down to the silencer. That's our exhaust fitted and fully tight. There's only one thing to do now, and that's fire it up and make sure we haven't got any leaks. Once we've done that and I'm satisfied, I can then put the dirt shields back on. So Gemma's T25 had various leaks throughout the exhaust system. Also the heat exchanger had come adrift and was really rattly. So now with the new parts fitted, it's much quieter. So that should please Gemma and most of all, her neighbours. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, Facebook and Instagram. And check us out at justkampers.com. If you have any questions regarding the exhaust fittings to this vehicle, leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching and see you next time.